question. So I've heard a few terms be kind of thrown around. So, reference to terms. I know you mentioned people talking to themselves and stuff like that, which is probably a symptom of paranoid schizophrenia, for example. And you mentioned depression. Do you think there's enough knowledge in the Black community around what mental health conditions are and mental health generally?
I wouldn't even say it's specifically because of the Black community, especially like if you're not sheltered just into that community because you're like so diverse in like schools and everything, like the people you meet, like majority, like you're exposed to it from like a ridiculously young age. So like because you're around that and like it's everywhere, like all over Insta, like memes and stuff like that. Like you're never not knowing what it is, if you get what I mean, like depression and stuff like that, and like anxiety and like the general ones, not like in depth, but like you roughly know what all of it is, but you don't necessarily know if you have it, I guess. Like sure people joke about it and they don't actually realise, oh yeah, like isn't that serious, but most people know what it is, I would say.
What do you think? Did you agree?
I think they just when you mention like depression or something, they'll think two things. They'll think one, you're gonna cut yourself, or two, you're gonna end up ending your life.
So again, that's a misconception in itself, right? Because firstly, I think even one thing I'd say, I've noticed this, because if I'm being honest with myself, it's probably only 5 years ago that I even engaged with the term mental health. And I'm quite a liberal guy, I'm quite an open guy. But what I found over the last couple of years is a lot more use of the terms depression and anxiety, but sometimes not always with an understanding like you just said. So people say I'm depressed, and when I actually probe, what do you mean by that? Oh, I'm feeling low. Like, that's not depression, that's low mood. How long have you felt low? Oh, felt low for a couple of days. Okay. And, when was the last time you felt low? I've not felt like this for 6 months. Like, okay, how quickly does that mood, how long does that mood last for? A day or two? Do you get what I mean? But there's that misconception about exactly. And then also, maybe that's part of why young Black men are not comfortable to talk, right? Because if I say to someone, I think I'm depressed, someone's going to panic and say, oh, let me check your wrist, are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you harming yourself? Yeah, do you think that's accurate?
Yes. Actually, my mom actually got me like some antidepressants. Yeah. We were having like beef in my house between me, my mom, and my dad. So like the next day she showed up with some antidepressants. You know what I mean? So I think that also.
That's positive. It means again that your mom's engaging with the issue, right?
Yeah,
Cool.
my mom was similar. Cause I was just sitting in my room and like I never really opened my curtains, and so I was just sitting in my room playing video games. And she walked in and said, "Why you always have your curtains closed? What's wrong? Are you depressed?" And I was like, "What? No." And then later on, she was talking to a friend about it, and I think her friend said Black people don't have time to be depressed. And then that's what she said to me, and it kind of stuck with me.
That's the pressure, right? That's the pressure. And I'm laughing because it's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard my grand say that Black people don't get depression. You get low, you're allowed to be low, but Black people don't get depression because we got bills to pay, we got life to live, and we've already got these expectations, already got these stigmas.
Like response to that is like, how do you feel? How do you think the slaves felt? Like if Black people don't get depressed, how do you feel? How do you think slaves felt when they were taken from their home?
That's depression. They're separated from their families and from their continent and from their religion, and their way of life and their language, of course.
So Black people are actually the most prone to depression.
This is it. You mentioned it. So in this country, let me give you a little bit of the last bit of context. Then we'll finish it there. I think we've spoken about a lot. It's been really sick. In this country, young Black men are more likely to be diagnosed with a serious mental health condition than any other ethnic group and any other age group in the whole country. Young Black men proportionately are overrepresented in mental health institutes more than any other ethnic group. Likewise, at crisis points, so we're talking about crisis, we're talking about more likely to be sectioned under the Mental Health Act, more likely to be prescribed medicine in a long-term situation than any other ethnic group. That's the picture. But at age 11, we're no more likely to be diagnosed with a mental health condition than any other ethnic group. So there's got to be something happening, right, in that 11 years old period up to adulthood that impacts on that. Because I don't believe any person wakes up one day and is diagnosed with depression or is diagnosed with anxiety or borderline personality disorder, for example. Yeah, I don't think that at all, because the research doesn't suggest that, right? It's a combination of things. And if you feel like black people are not allowed to be depressed, they have time to be depressed, or you're told, well, let's beat the madness out of the person, then you're not going to come forward with that, right? And then when the symptoms do manifest themselves eventually, they're going to be so severe that it's not prevention, it's not small steps that you need to take, it's big action.